Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Mama Ming here. In today's video I want to share things that I wish I knew before ever having a baby. At the time of filming this video, I'm pregnant with my baby number 2. This time is a girl, and this is my second baby, 4th pregnancy, and I do have a almost 2-year-old son. So I have experienced that newborn phase, toddler phase, pregnancy phase, and here are the things that I wish I knew before I ever even thought about trying for a baby. So I hope this video can be helpful to you. Some of these advice were actually given to me before I had a baby, which I'm very grateful for. That is why I want to let you know. Before we start, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. First thing, I actually have a professor friend who had a baby 5 years ago, and she was giving me some of the old stuff she had for the newborn and toddlers phase when I was pregnant with my son 2 years ago. So she actually, like, the stuff she gave me is actually not as valuable as the advice that she gave me, because I went to her house and she was showing me like the baby room or whatever, and she was telling me that do not buy whatever is trendy on the internet. So basically what I learned is 80% of the stuff out there are very gimmicky and unnecessary. Okay, so if someone bought it for you and your baby loves it and it helps you in the first 4 to 6 months of life, take it, use it. But here I'm just saying, like, in terms of buying it yourself, so things like a small bassinet that looks pretty that goes like this way is like $200. Okay, your baby probably fits into the bassinet for like 4 to 6 months. Was it worth it? Also, other things that like also is probably helpful for like 3 months or 4 months of the baby's life. And is it really worth it? Like, again, if you have the money and if someone buys it for you and your baby loves it, then fine. And there are also other things that, like the bassinet, they're like just buy the crib, or even just a pack and play, the bassinet. And then I was like, okay, the pack and play is actually great. It comes with the bassinet, but then you open it up and it becomes the actual crib, and then the pack and play is only $100 compared to a crib is $200 for the crib itself, $200 for the mattress. That's $400 out there. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you, my baby never slept in the crib. He slept in his pack and play for the first 18 months, and he just transitioned to sleep on a normal bed. So my crib upstairs is still just hanging out by itself, and my crib mattress, $200. I'm like, what are we gonna do with it? At least we have another baby, maybe you'll put the next baby there. So we didn't buy a bassinet at all, and then our crib was not even used. The only one that was used was a $100 pack and play, which comes with a changing table plus a bassinet. I think the same model is now sold for $129. You know, inflation over the 2 years, there was like 30% increase of the price, but still it's cheaper than. Another thing is, when I first introduced the solid, I bought all the popsicle stuff, put the fruit in there, and so like a baby can suck in the juice. My baby hates it. It turned out that my baby just eat the fruit on its own. I bought so many like gimmicky stuff that was available in Target, on Amazon, like on the internet, where all the other moms recommended. Half of them were not really useful. The other half actually was pretty useful. So again, like, before you buy stuff, just think about how much you can use it, or buy like one instead of a whole pack, and to have your baby try it. If money is not a problem, buy it all. I would say 80% of the stuff out there that's like trendy on the internet, not really helpful. This is one thing that I learned from my professor friend, and I was so grateful. We saved at least $1,000 from the things that my husband was like thinking about buying. We saved some more money when it comes to buying toys, because it turned out that my baby just likes to play with the pots. There are also a lot of toys that are educational, working on motor skills, refined motor skills, that are worth investing. But again, like, you don't have to buy so much to give your baby a bright future, a good environment to grow up in. So best advice I've ever heard before having a baby is do not overbuy. Do not. So the next thing is, should you give baby a pacifier? Okay, so this is interesting. I was judged hard by family members for not giving my baby a pacifier. Okay, some context right here. So my baby actually had a pretty tight lips and tongue, but this wasn't like a tongue tie, so it didn't affect him in breastfeeding. But I was breastfeeding directly, I was pumping in bottles, and he soon realized that when we give him the pacifier, he wouldn't take it because the milk wouldn't come in. Versus if you put the baby right here on my nipples, or if you put the baby in the bottle with the milk that I pumped, he will realize, okay, if I suck this, milk comes in. If I give me a pacifier, milk doesn't come in, you just spit it out. So it's not like I never give my baby a pacifier. I did give him a little bit pacifier around like 2 weeks when he was like crying a lot. I was like, here's a passy, and he was either give me the real milk or don't give me anything, or hold me or anything. So I never really gave the baby pacifier and then forced him to use a pacifier. Best thing ever, because now the other 2-year-olds, like, they're still struggling to get away from the pacifier. They're still like, when they can't find a pacifier, they're still mad. Never had that problem. Never had a problem. I don't have to wash the pacifier, sanitize, and I don't have to think about anything. And guess what? Our first visit to our dentist, and our dentist was like, oh, it's a good thing you never give your baby a pacifier because it's not good for their teeth development and stuff like that, gum health or whatever. Which I think it helps because one of my friend from the gym, she is a pediatric dentist, so that's her husband is a dentist. So it really helps me to know that in advance, that pacifier is not so great with the teething thing, with the teeth development. But at the same time, let's say if your baby are the only way for you to have a sound sleep for yourself is to give him pacifier, do it, because it's worth it if it allows you to sleep. So should I use a pacifier? Yes and no. Like, if your baby is naturally not like a big fan of pacifier, don't force it. It's not helping them. It's not dentist recommended. But at the same time, if this is the only way that you can take a break and get some sleep, do it, because you need a good sleep so that you can produce the milk and take care of your baby. Similarly to pacifier, I got a lot of pushback from the baby-led weaning and self-feeding. So my husband is not a big fan of the baby-led weaning and self-feeding because the baby makes a huge mess, and my husband is like a very OCD person. He just, like, every time the baby makes a mess or someone makes a mess, it just gives him a headache. He gets very OCD about it. He's like very about like spoon feeding the baby, which I think my baby is doing me a favor. I'm so grateful for my son. So my baby actually wouldn't allow anyone to feed him in his first year of life. He will only eat things that are not in the puree form, which supports my first 80% of the stuff. My friend, actually one of my good friends, actually gave me a baby puree machine, and I was using a little bit. My baby just took it a little bit at the beginning, and then after a few weeks he just hated it. He's like, he hated the texture of the puree. So the baby puree machine that we had, we only used it for like 3 weeks and it's just there. And I was like, what are we gonna use it for? As a blender? And my husband was like, but we have Vitamix, which is actually better in pureeing stuff. So I actually don't know what to do with it. We're probably gonna give it to someone else. But my baby wouldn't allow anyone to feed him. But here's something, is if you want your baby to develop sense of independence and refine motor skills, baby-led weaning and self-feeding is so beneficial. There's so many skills you don't develop by spoon feeding your baby. My husband wasn't a big fan, and it's just impossible to convince him. But then now the good thing is my baby wouldn't allow him to feed him until like now he's older. If he's busy playing, you feed him something, he would just eat it. But it was very helpful because he was using a spoon, a fork, utensils very early on, and the teachers at the daycare said he had really good and refined motor skills very early on. It is because we allowed him to do the baby-led weaning and self-feeding practices. The third thing that I wish I knew was that there is always going to be a pushback from your partner in a family about everything you do as a parent. It is very frustrating. My husband doesn't really read about this child development stuff, parenting stuff as much, and I have a Ph.D. in education. I study child development, I study child psychology, and his mom, of course, is always on his side. Why don't you let him use a pacifier? What? And they're very opinionated as well, but it's just If you never experienced that, you're very lucky, but just prepare for those pushbacks and arguments. There's certain times when a baby gets frustrated, you have to allow it. You allow the baby to experience the frustrating emotions and self-regulating their frustrating emotions. That's just part of life. To shelter the baby from any frustration, to shelter from any uncomfortableness is very, very bad for their development, for emotional health as well. I knew there was gonna be pushback. I just didn't know that my partner is not always on board. All right, so the next one is about a controversial topic. This topic is actually not controversial, but every time I bring it up, people get offended. It's about screen time. The American Association for Pediatric Health actually recommend against any screen time before the 2 years of age, unless it is a necessary screen time for FaceTiming your grandparents, FaceTiming your friends and other people that out of the town in a different country. So screen time is bad for babies' development, especially for the perception of depth and also for the prefrontal cortex. If you have family that are not in the city, screen time using FaceTime, doing video chat is very different from screen time of just watching characters singing a song. The reason is that with interactive screen time, the baby is still even though it's a flat screen, the baby is still looking at people's microfacial expressions. They're still interacting. They're still developing their perceptions of emotions, perceptions of language. They're still trying to have an interactive time. Versus if you just turn on this TV, watch this, learn this colors, learn this music, learn this. It may seem to be harmless at the beginning, but slowly you'll realize the baby's development is very, very affected. So personally, okay, this is kind of funny because I told everyone that I do not allow any screen time. So when the baby was with me at home, I turn off the TV, I turn on the podcast with my phone. I just only listen to podcasts. I do not watch TV when I watch the baby when we're both awake. It's because I don't want him to look at the screen. So I got so much pushback from the family. They just think that I am overly strict. They just think that I'm overly sensitive. They just think that I'm too dramatic about the effect of screen time. So for the first 18 months, I never allowed any screen time. But when the baby goes to the grandma's house, the grandma has the TV on. Grandma's trying to watch the cars, watch this. When my husband watches him, of course, take care of him. If I wanted a break during the weekend, of course, my husband will turn on the TV and the baby will watch TV with my husband. But ever since I was pregnant with this baby, in the first trimester, I became incredibly tired. I felt very nauseous. I was vomiting. So when I'm nauseous and vomiting and super, super tired, I had no choice but to turn on the screen to entertain my baby, because before we'll be reading books and play. Here's the thing is, ever since I said, yes, I allow screen time in the household, boom, my baby gets so addicted to the screen time, to the iPad, to the TV. And ever since he get more addicted to the TV, he has thrown more tantrum. He has less quality sleep. He is less willing to go to bed on his own. He is more has less control in terms of regulating his emotions and frustrations. And sometimes he gets bored watching the same video and he throws a tantrum. And you can vividly see the change in his behavior, cognitively and behaviorally and emotionally, to the point that my husband was like, no, we have to limit screen time to 1 hour at a time. And we have to, my baby cannot be going down this whole regulated tantrums and regulated emotions, communicate what he wants. Here's the thing is, I got so much pushback from my husband and the family for not allowing screen time. And the moment I allowed the screen time because of personal struggles with the second pregnancy, my husband immediately witnessed the difference in terms of my baby's behavior about 2 to 3 months after we allowed the screen time, when he really becomes more reliant on the screen. Long story short is that if you allow the baby to have screen time from the very, very early on, you probably wouldn't notice this downhill shifts in behavior. But research again and again and again shows that screen time before the age of 2 is not necessarily healthy for the baby's development. And after 2 years of age, it's better to limit the screen time to about 30 minutes to like maybe 1 hour, so that you do watch some educational videos together with the baby. You can talk about what you see, what you watch together, make it more interactive, but still limit the amount of screen time that your child has. I just want to say here, screen time, is it good or bad? So we know that before the age of 2, it's better not to have any screen time unless you're FaceTiming a relative. Interactive screen time is okay. Second of all, if you do struggle like at home, like if you're pregnant for your second kid, if you really have to get something done around the house, allow some screen time is okay, but regular the amount of exposure that the baby has, and also regular the types of content that the baby watches. 5 things that I wish I knew before I had a baby is there's definitely more arguments around the house. So I don't think like me and my husband ever really argues, because like he's very chill. I usually tell him what to do, he would just do it. But ever since we had a kid, we had way more argument, because every time I tell him to do something, there's pushback. If he wants me to do something with the baby, I disagree, then there's pushback from me. So we have way more arguments around the parenting situation. So this is kind of interesting, because I've heard stories that's like, oh, I have some issues with my partner. I feel like if we have a baby together, starting a family, it's gonna resolve all the issues. And then I was like, huh. We never had any issues until we had a kid. Not that we had argument between us. Not that I'm saying like my husband and me have any like issues, but we just argue over the smallest things, because I want him to do this with the kid and he wants me to do that with the kid. He thinks I'm too strict. I think he's not parenting enough. The kid is not learning a good manner. Not like he's too spoiling the kid. Blah, blah, blah. The argument just started. We didn't have anything to argue in the past. And the first 9 years of our relationship, we didn't know what to argue. Now we have all the things to argue about. It's something that I wish I knew, because I never thought that this would be possible, because he was like, I am the bread earner, you're the child educator, and you have a Ph.D. education, you are a teacher. In my daily life, I literally train teachers in terms of how to teach. So he's like, you're the expert, you take care of our kids, I make the bread. And guess what? Once you have the kid, once you actually see your kid, once you see your kid get frustrated, get cry, get tears, all of these plans go bye-bye. Emotional response just kick in. The next thing that I learned is like when it comes to parenting, it's very hard to discipline a baby, infant, toddler, but very important. Like my husband doesn't go to those like pediatrician visits, but ever since 18 months, a pediatrician was telling me the baby is gonna start pushing boundaries. Be careful, and you want to provide guidance in terms of like when the baby pushes your boundaries, in terms of what is considered okay, what is not. So I knew that was gonna happen. Sometimes it happened before 18 months, sometimes it happened after 18 months. But every time the baby pushes the buttons of us, my husband always is like, oh, it's my kid, he's sad. I'm like, no, you have to set up a boundary with your kid. That's another thing that a lot of times their philosophy about like, let this baby grow what they want to become, which is true. Like if the baby wants to become an engineer or a doctor, like it's their choice. But at the same time, with everyday things, with the manners, with what's considered okay, what not to do, you have to really set up examples and have to guide the babies. Or else if you just spoil the babies, let him have whatever he wants, the baby may not turn out to be what you want him to turn out. So guidance is important, and sometimes it's hard to push the boundaries. Sometimes it's hard to set up the boundaries with your baby, because that's your child. But it's very important for the baby to understand that there are certain things that's wrong to do or not appropriate to do. Next one, 7, is that every journey is so different when it comes to the challenges. I feel like a lot of people around me, they never had this particular issue, is that my baby have a hard time staying asleep ever since he was a baby. Because I've had family members and friends having babies at the same time, and after like 3-4 months, their baby usually sleeps through the night, or for the most part. My baby still doesn't sleep through the night. He will wake up around 2 or 3, sometimes 4. He will still ask for milk, even though the doctor said like wean off the milk at night, the feeding at night. But it's just very, very hard. In my first entire year of his life, he will wake up at least 2 to 3 times a night. So I never slept through the night in the first 1 year of having babies. And if you ask people around you, the answer is very different. Some people they do, some people they don't. But what I didn't know is in the second year of the baby's life, I still don't sleep through the night. It's just some baby is just a little bit different. Sometimes I was like, okay, when people were telling me like, why are you like, waking up so late and blah, 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 you're just being lazy. I'm like, you have no idea. I woke up 3 times last night. And one of the times lasted for a whole hour. Like, people don't, every baby's different. Every parent struggle is different. Some baby throws way more tantrums. I've also had family members told me, oh, wait until they're this age. They're going to throw way more tantrums and you're going to have terrible twos. You're going to be this, and then just wait until this happens. Most of the times it didn't happen. Like, this is kind of funny. The struggles I had, people around me, they didn't have. But the struggles I didn't have, a lot of people, they had. And the people always tell you, oh, wait until they do this. Wait until they do this. Wait until they do this. It's always like, oh, you think it's easy now? Wait until do this. Honestly, my baby has been a little bit easier when he's older than when he's younger. But some of the struggles are still real. The sleep is definitely a struggle. So don't let other people around you make you feel bad, and don't let them judge you. I know it's very hard, especially if you have family members do that, but just know that everyone is so different. Eighth is childcare. Should I send my baby to a daycare? I've had parents actually share with me that they wish they never have to send their baby to a daycare. They wish they just can quit their job and stay at home with the baby. They're trained to do that. But honestly, I did that for a whole year, for 16 months actually. I didn't quit working, but I quit my main job, which is the 8 to 5. It just allows no flexibility, and the maternity leave was bad. It was 6 weeks unpaid, only 6 weeks. So I just quit that job. But I was still lecturing at the university. I'm a part-time adjunct professor. I teach between 1 to 2 courses per semester, depending on the needs for me. I am a yoga teacher in the evenings, and also I do YouTube. I have another YouTube channel that's monetized. So I want to say that there are pros and cons about staying at home with your baby versus sending the baby to a daycare. So the pros is definitely the fact that you can get a break. So imagine me staying with my baby all day, all night, all weekend. It just personally will drive me crazy. I wouldn't be able to do that like in a long term. For the first 1.5 years, yes, but not when I'm pregnant, not when I'm feeling irritated, mood swings during my pregnancy, hormone shifts. So the second thing is that the daycare provides a lot of social interactions for the baby to interact with people, other kids with the same age, which really, really helps. Because think about it, when your baby is at home, the baby is interacting with the parents. The parents will more likely to have the baby get whatever they want. With this, in the social setting with other peers, he has to learn how to negotiate for a toy. If he wants to join a group, if he wants something the other kids also want, he has to negotiate that, interact with it. It has to navigate the social world on his own. He's going to develop social skills that you can't really explicitly teach your kids until they actually navigate the world on their own. The third thing that I think is beneficial is to have more roles of people in their life. Now, in the past, he only has family, and then parents, grandparents. But now there's the role of teacher, the role of classmates, the role of other classmates, parents. Like there are more roles in the kid's life, and I could tell that my baby interacts with the teacher very differently from interacting with me. Like he knows how to respect authority, and he knows I am the mom, not the teacher. He can actually step on my toes and not get in trouble, versus with the teacher he can't. So he starts to understand that there are different levels of authority. Like with mom, you can push the boundary. With the teachers, maybe not, but the teachers care about me. The teachers want me to thrive. So another thing is he also have another like environment that he has to navigate, like more stimulants of the brain development as well. And to me, it's helpful that I am only taking a role as a parent instead of taking a role of both as a parent and as a teacher, because I can give him the parental nourishment, the loving, like if he had a bad day at school, he can come home and cry with me, versus like if I am both the role of teacher and the parent, I have to say, no, right now I'm the teacher, you have to you have to respect me, my authority, I'm teaching you stuff, and then later we can hug. It's very hard to set up that boundary if it's your own mom. So I'm so glad that after 16 months, he got into a really good early childhood accredited school, which is a preschool with the daycare. So there are a lot of benefits of sending a baby to daycare. But there are also cons. The first one is the cost. Daycare cost is so expensive in America. It's unbearably expensive. It's like almost as expensive as my mortgage payment every single month. And the second con is my baby definitely gets more sick. Ever since I sent him to the gym daycare, he gets more sick, like more germs from the gym, and then he gets sick from his regular daycare. So when he was exclusive with me, we were only sick once because I got the flu from the gym. But ever since he went to a daycare, we were sick every month or every other month at least. So there are definitely way more germs once you send the kid to the daycare. Something to think about. That's why I don't want to send my kid to a daycare in the first 6 months of life, just because like his immune system is still very fragile. But after that, maybe like once he like is a little bit older, I send my kid to daycare at 16 months so that he's well over 1. Finally is potty training. So I've been delaying the potty training, and one of my son's classmates at the daycare actually already is potty trained, and I definitely feel the pressure of potty training, but there are pros and cons. Okay, so potty training is really great in terms of taking the next level, and there is a optimal time to potty train is in between 20 months and 30 months. But once you potty train a kid, every time you go out somewhere, you don't just like change the diaper in the changing table or go to a trunk. You actually have to take your kid to the public bathroom, which is very scary. And there are more germs in the public bathroom, and of course you wash his hands, but still the baby will touch stuff. And to me, it's just, I've been delaying potty training. I think I delayed too much because I think there was a time he was telling me, he was, "Mommy, I poo-poo." But I just feel like after potty training, it's just gonna be harder. Especially sending him to the gym daycare is like the people can't help him to go to the bathroom, so you have to use a diaper. So that's another thing that I'm very worried about potty training. So again, the optimal time is between 20 to 30 months. And I'm delaying it just so that it doesn't really fit into the current lifestyle, but eventually we'll have to do it. But it's gonna be rough. There are a lot of pros and cons in terms of potty training early, because if you potty train early, you save a lot of money in terms of the diaper. But unless you don't go to a lot of places, like traveling, like the access to the bathrooms, it just becomes a hassle once your baby let go of that diaper. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. These are the things I wish I knew before ever having my first baby. Now I'm about to have my baby number 2 in about less than 4 months. I'm super excited, but also nervous. And I will continue to share this journey with you in this channel. So make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell. And also comment down below what you wish you knew before ever having your first child. All right, that's it for today. Thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.